What is up, humanity? I'm Spacebug. This is Magic for the Masses. Welcome to the second episode of my Astrologers review, where I will tell you who is worth paying for, who's a bunch of crap, why you should be following certain people, what they offer, basically telling you how to not waste your money and how to get the most out of your buck when it comes to energy exchange with astrologers. So I want to save you the trouble and only send you to the good, amazing people. And speaking of amazing people, today we're going to be talking about Gemini Brown, or
Novel kicking knowledge.
Gemini Brown is a tropical astrologer who uses the Placidus house system. He has a touch of the esoteric, or basically the occult, in everything that he does, which really enriches his perceptions and what you get from him. I'm going to give you a basic rundown of everything he's doing, and then I'll go down and break apart each different service, because there's a lot. Gemini Brown has a YouTube channel, a Patreon. He has a class for astrology called The Lion's Den. He just put out a book called Astrology of the Matrix. He offers personal readings of a vast variety. He's working with a clothing line, Fresh Affiliated Clothing.
One of those being the rising sign. We got some dope hats.
He's a rapper, an incredibly good rapper. He is a real life teacher. My man is doing a lot, like a lot. Like the most in a good way. When Gemini and Virgo find harmony within an individual, this is the result. Things get done. They get done well. So let's try to keep up with them, at least for a few minutes in this video. Gemini Brown is the reason why I stopped looking at astrology as just sun signs and realized that there was an entire universe out there that I could engage with every day. I can't read people. I'm probably the only Scorpio on the planet who's a terrible judge of character. And I wanted to figure out who I could trust and who I couldn't. So, I looked. And then I found out about my own natal chart. And from there, it was like a black hole that sucked me in. And one of my placements is Chiron and Gemini. And he said this.
What happens is early on, you may be placed in some type of remedial class, okay? Or it even pertains to just getting extra help, okay? In terms of whether it be reading, math, or whatever, or speech. This can, if aspected, a negative aspect to Mercury, okay? Or, Mercury harshly aspect, it can indicate communication problems, but more specifically, like, a stutter, or, a lisp, something like that. Okay.
I've had a lisp my entire life. When I was a kid, I couldn't say my R's. I spent years in speech therapy. And here I am now, kind of able to talk, but I struggle every day. And it just really changed my life. It literally changed my life. That moment, that video, those words, took me from trying to protect myself with astrology to what has essentially become the love of my life. Let's talk about his videos. Gemini Brown has a vast and priceless catalog of videos on his YouTube channel, linked here. I'd like to point out that most of his videos are like a decade old, or a lot of them. He's still making new content like crazy. But he's not someone who just jumped on the bandwagon of YouTube astrology and spirituality when it became a trend. He's dedicated a large portion of his life to spreading this wisdom for free. Some of the types of videos he offers on his page are as followed. Weekly astrology updates. Information about transiting planets and how they will impact our real lives. He has a super dope top 5 series going. Not your standard astrology list. Like, these are in-depth, complicated concepts you need to know about and that you're not going to get anywhere else. He has aspects and astrology videos. Aspects are the gravy of the astrology stew. He has a dating Venus and the signs videos, which is super fun. He covers all the astrology of significant cultural events. So if something's in the news, he'll probably have a video about it. He covers toxic traits of the zodiacs in a series. And he does all the planets in the signs and houses. Basically, if you need to know it, or if you didn't know you needed to know it, it'll be on his page. I cannot tell you how much information is on his page. Like, this is free service he's offering people. For a decade, he's been pushing these facts And you really need to check it out. I won't say any more about it. It changed my life. Changed my life. My life path. And his YouTube is the reason why I inquired with him about a reading and then took his class, The Lion's Den. So let's do the readings he offers first, and then we'll go to The Lion's Den. Readings offered. Gemini Brown does personal natal reports, transit reports, solar return reports. He'll do synastry reports or whatever. He even said he would do astrological counseling for my sister and I because we have a communication problem. Okay, now let's talk about The Lion's Den. The Lion's Den is a class that meets bi-weekly. It's $125 for the month or $40 per session, and it's so fucking worth it. I spent the first 6 months or so in the class, but what I learned in that class during those short 6 months was substantial. He uses methods for teaching that are not single-minded. Like, he has lecture, he has interactive projects, homework. He touches base about your chart for each subject that he's teaching about, and that's probably like the most immediately gratifying part of the class. That when he's teaching about a certain thing, he will tell you about how it plays out in your own chart, and that alone is worth $40 a session, hands down. But you are gonna learn so much. I learned so much about ancestral astrology, like the astrology of your parents and how their karma affects you and where it plays out in the chart, and that was just it's really helped me help other people. And I'm not an expert, but I've learned enough to know how to point things out that have helped people. And that's a really good feeling. So if you want to advance your ability with astrology, your overall understanding, and your application, I would suggest Lion's Den over any other thing. And maybe it's because that's the personal experience I've had, and maybe it's just because I can recognize something that's valuable and works, and Gemini Brown's classes work. Shout out to the Lion's Den, but it's really amazing, and it doesn't matter how you learn. He will address it. He teaches children who need specialized learning in his day job. So he knows how to get through to people who don't always think the same way. You won't regret it. To the Patreon. For those of you who want to support his work, and you should want to support his work because he's doing this stuff and he's amazing and you're going to benefit from it, you can join the Patreon. It's like $7 a month. And that is nothing. That's a cup of Starbucks coffee. And for that price, you get access to early lectures and specialized lectures where, again, he comments specific things, to help you understand your own chart, which is so valuable as far as what you get from astrologers in the world today. But the Patreon is like, if you can't commit to the classes for time reasons or for financial reasons, at least join the Patreon, get the inside scoop, and you will have an advanced chance to succeed in your astrological practices. What else? The Astrology of the Matrix. So my guy is a published author. Oh yeah, I would show you my copy of the book, but just like Vic's book, I have loaned it out to the same person. He wants to know if he's compatible with astrology, and so the two books I loaned out were The Radically Deep Fundamentals of Astrology and Astrology of the Matrix. That's going to cover it all, but not just the astrology. The Astrology of the Matrix is almost like a grimoire of occult truth. One thing that I think makes Gemini Brown stand out among astrologers and among people is that he's put the work in to understand the nitty-gritty and the application of occult principles that are ancient and super relevant in real life today. You get a lot of that in the book. If you can approach reading this book with even a shred of an open mind or a shred of common sense or a shred of intuition, so if you can come at this thing with any bit of your truth, this book will grow you. It's a beautiful, stunning collection of language, and when I was reading his definition of the number 0, I cried. I teared up. To know that someone else understands the world I live in is so valuable, and I cannot even begin to tell you how valid his work is. It will open your eyes, and if your eyes are already open, then you're going to be fucking tickled that somebody else really does get it. And then we haven't touched base on one of the coolest aspects of Gemini Brown. rap skills. I'm personally a huge hip hop head, so it's kind of like I shouldn't have the ego thing, but it's kind of like an ego trip to say my astrology teacher's a dope fucking rapper. I'm not gonna continue to brag about that. I'll let him do it himself.
Got a full plate, gotta let the mind ventilate. In the six, bumping the straight, them new demo tapes. My desires come forth when I meditate. Punchlines heavy, the rest of y'all is featherweight. Finish shape, eating better, make it rain, change the weather, talking G's. We don't see you like missing letters. Rhyming foot. They say the winter brings cold, but gold, I'ma find. Forever in the zone, just me and my lonely mind. I journal time to time, tell my feelings that I got this. Eternal sunshine, my memory bank spotless. Do this for the learners, chase the universal crowns. Griots, poets that'll burn this bitch to the ground. Shorty, I ended, then I feel sinner. Miss Fat Booty, been a cutie. Friend Judy knew I had to bend her. These bars blazing as I'm stargazing. The more you know, the more you grow. Then eventually they start hating. I elevated the levels they couldn't fathom. The end is the beginning, the Eve is in the atom. Mother just a brother from another space and time. That birth hip hop so I can kill you with the rhyme. Sublime, sight vision got me flying off the top rope. Took faith to listen like the second joint from Pop Smoke.
I think that I covered most of what I wanted to cover. If I have to do a Gemini Brown version 2.0, then so be it, because he's a hero and he deserves lots and lots and lots of videos about him. But Gemini Brown, you already know you grew me as a person and as an astrologer, and in a lot of ways. I will never be able to portray to you my appreciation for your art and for your humanity. So, thank you. Truly. From the deepest part of my soul. To see you be you makes me feel like humanity's got a chance and maybe we can save this world. So nothing but love to you, Sifu Nalo. And nothing but love to you, world. Go follow my guy. You won't regret it. Peace out. Readings offered. You can get, okay. He even said he would do so let's talk about him as what do you mean